Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be here today. Yes, it's an early morning in my time zone and even earlier in some other time zones, depending on where you live. And today I have a special guest, and I've gotten to know her a little bit in another arena. But first, I'd like to tell you that this is sponsored by my book, A Spiritual How To. It's available on most Amazons. So check it out. I have a beautiful program that actually is evolved or has been created because of this book, A Spiritual How-To, and it truly is what it says it is. It's a spiritual how-to on how to make changes in your life that move you towards being a confident, powerful person who lives the life of their dreams. So I'd like to introduce to you this incredible woman that I've met through a partnership marketing mastermind. It was really magical to be in that same arena with her and really starting to understand who we want to be working with and really understanding a little bit more about ourselves. And I got to know Vicky a little bit, and she rings so true to me because she has the same method of thinking that I do. On one hand, she's actually really speaks about how to start to tap into your intuition. And she's a certified life purpose medium and psychic and a 25-year Reiki practitioner who empowers mid-career women to create a life they love using their intuition. And she has all kinds of interesting little aspects to that. So I'm going to bring her on without further ado because I know only kind of like the surface things about her. So I'd love for her to come on. Hi, Vicky, and speak a little bit more about what her goals in life is. What's her vision? What's your vision?
Good morning. Thank you, Sandra. So I am a mindset and intuition mastery expert. I help women in business learn to trust their intuition to create a life they love. And I do this through a 3-step formula, which I think is pretty much exactly what you were saying just there. You know, improve your mindset, get happier, raise your vibration, open to your intuition, understand your intuition, and then create your business life based on how your intuition is guiding you. So that's really my sort of foundational approach. And my vision, I have a really high level vision. It's speak, travel, and have fun. And so I help, my clients, my customers to look at how they can create a life they love by going through this process and then learning to trust their own intuition to move forward and, create their own life.
Yes, so beautiful. What happened to you, or how did you get to this point? Because I know we all have these backstories that really kind of lead us in that direction to get us to this point. So tell us a little bit about your background, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I am just a normal middle-aged woman. I lived my life by default, like most of us do. For the first 50 years of my life, I went to university, I got a job, I had a career, I got married, I have a wonderful, lovely family, husband and daughter. I live in suburbia, like just really a typical standard life that you just kind of go along doing. And then right at the sort of the beginning of the pandemic, I'm an extrovert, so I really enjoy, being with people, talking with people, and exchanging energy with people. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I noticed that I was really starting to feel very isolated and anxious, and my mindset really started to degrade. I would just have to say it was really degrading rapidly. And so the only thing that was cycling through my mind was negative, anxiety provoking thoughts. And at the time, I'm in business with my husband. We own just a traditional service-based business together. And at the time he said to me, Vic, you're going to have to figure this out. I can't help you with this, right? You have to take the initiative to figure it out yourself. And so I dove into mindset training. And that was really just to try to lift myself out of this, depressing, anxiety provoking thought regime that I was really creating for myself. And I read a book, which I already had on my shelf. It's called Train Your Brain by Dana Wilde. I don't know whether any of your audience might know Dana Wilde, but she's fantastic. She has a podcast, and she's just wonderful. She has this approach about, basically you replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts, and you basically ignore the negative thoughts, like just ignore them and just keep building and replacing and building and replacing. And so as I did that, I started to feel better. You know how it is, right? You start to feel better, your vibration raises, new ideas, people, circumstances pop into your life that weren't there before. You start to feel better and better. And then, oddly enough, I found a practical magic Facebook workshop. You know how there's all these 5-day summits and free challenges. So I found this one. It's the Practical Magic group. It's a mother-daughter duo, and they were having this 5-day summit on, how to integrate magic into your life in practical ways. And I thought, well, how fun, that will be a good thing for me to keep adding fun into my life. And it was during that workshop that literally my mind was blown, knowing that there are people who live their lives, through spiritual experience. And as a result of that, I realized through that very week that I was psychic, that I am a medium, that I have all of these gifts that I can bring to the world and help other women bring to light within themselves. And so that's really what kind of got me started on my journey. I took some classes. I became a life purpose medium. I wanted to channel my gifts into something that would be helpful for others. And then, of course, being a business person, my interest is very keenly on business. And so I started to use the approach, for myself, for others. Can you change your mindset to be more positive? Can you open to your intuition as a result of raising your vibration? And can you then direct your intuition to create the life that you want, right? So it's goal setting and dream building and all of the wonderful things that keep us excited and hopeful and optimistic in life. And so that's really how it happened. It's such an ordinary story, but what's exciting for me about it is that because it's so ordinary, it means that it's available to everyone, right? And I really want, especially right now, there are so many women who are struggling in transition, right? In the business world. Do I go back to the job that I've been in? Do I start something new? Do I stay home and work from home? There's so many women right now who are in that transition. And so I would really love to be able to help them to use their own conscious creation for their life, as opposed to just traveling along by default.
I can certainly see why you and I are attracted to each other, because I really resonate with all the things that you're bringing. I love also too how you know who you're working with, and from a business aspect, that is so important. A couple things came up while you were saying that. One was my awareness of what some people might not be cluing into, and I want to bring this to everyone's attention. For one, I had a very specific incident happen to me in my life, and then continued to have incidences that did the same thing, and that was physical injuries. And same as you, in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we kind of transitioned into a whole new way of life. And I'm hearing that you didn't necessarily have what some people might consider a dark night of the soul, but you had a very big occurrence happen in your life. You were transitioning in mindset, in goal setting, in recognizing that what you were doing wasn't working for you anymore. And I really want to bring that home to a lot of people who may be listening, because you may not think that you're going through something, but in reality, you might be going through something that's really, really big. I also wanted to highlight that you speak about mid-career women. I'm guessing, though, that this also works with men. Like, I know we niche in and we say who we're working with, but it also includes the other gender as well. So maybe speak a little bit about that aspect of who you work with a little bit more deeply, if you don't mind, or maybe what you feel about that pandemic. And I know I'm giving you two questions kind of to work with, but you likely can draw them both in together.
Yes. So I think you're right. As as business people, we are expected to, work with a certain group of people. And of course, we're almost always going to work with ourselves, right? So that's why I kind of niched in, as you say, to mid-career women, because it's, who I can speak to. But naturally, I can appeal to anyone who's, running their own business or in business, where they are perhaps, as you say, in a transition point where they have to decide, am I going to continue on the path that I've been, or do I choose a new path for myself? It doesn't even have to mean that you change jobs, right? It can be that you go to your superiors and say, I'm going to try this approach now and do something different, right? And it's just a different way of being in your life. And the way that I look at that is that, what I've learned through my mindset research and understanding is, we're programmed from the time we are probably in utero, right? By the people in our lives, by our parents, by our families, by school, by teachers, by society, to be thinking what we're thinking. They're not even our thoughts that are in there, right? This is what people do when they do the work of mindset. They realize how little of themselves there really is in their thinking. And so that's really what I help to my clients to understand, is that they can consciously replace all of that old program that doesn't serve them with new, exciting, invigorating, enlivening, empowering thoughts that drive them forward in an inspired way, that give them excitement and creativity and joy in their lives, as opposed to, that program that mom installed from when we were 3, and that we didn't even realize that's what was happening. So I think this process can work for everyone, young, old. I would love for it to resonate with young people, so that they can see, okay, so as young people, we do have to fit in a certain bit, right? We have to be able to allow ourselves to fit in enough to go through school, to decide what we want to, maybe take in university or college. And then after that, blow your mind, right? Do whatever you want to do with your life. Once you can make your own decisions, I think that's the key piece. Start to make your own decisions, consciously create your life. And that's, I think that's the key piece of everything, is that we all have intuitive gifts. We all have the ability to be guided by our intuition and be led by our intuition. But if we're living in somebody else's program, if we've squelched all of our creativity, all of our positivity, all of our optimism, because we're just in a paradigm that doesn't serve us, we can't see those intuitive gifts. And so I guess that's a long answer for saying I think it works for everyone. But of course, I'm just working with myself because I know me and what I went through.
Well, we always are our own perfect client, aren't we? I can definitely see, again, why we resonate with each other, because all we're doing technically on one hand is using different language. You speak about programming, I speak about expectations, and that they're essentially the same thing. It's what other people want us to do and how they've created us to be this being. So what are some of the things that you do with your clients when you get your clients? How do you help people?
So I have a three-step formula. It's a lot more complicated than I'm going to say now, but it's essentially, starting with understanding your current repetitive thoughts. So recognizing your existing program, taking note, making notes of them, and then systematically replacing those repetitive thoughts, that program, with more positive, general, soothing thoughts. I'm not going in there like crazy. We're starting with soothing thoughts. Everything is working out for me. I can do this. Everything is unfolding perfectly. Just really gentle, soothing thoughts that you just start replace all day long, replace, until you start to feel lighter and better, and you have a little bit of hope and optimism. Then the next step is, okay, so then what ideas, insights, circumstances, people are coming into your life, that's your intuition guiding you. That's your intuition saying, okay, go this direction. But if you say to yourself, what a great idea, thank the universe, right? Be grateful, have appreciation for the new exciting things that are coming into your life. So that's kind of step 2. And then step 3 is, once you know how your intuition comes in, is it clairvoyance? Is it claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience? Whatever it is that it comes through for you, how can you use that then to dream big, to set really massive, outrageous goals and dreams for yourself that would never have kind of come to you before you were guided by that intuition. So that's really, in a nutshell, the 3-step process that I use, the formula that I use. And I think it can really work for everyone. And, every client is going to have a different reason for coming in and wanting to work with me. They're going to have a different outcome in their mind. But the beautiful thing about this process is that it just continues forever to open you more and more and more. Every time you think you've ditched mom, from grade 3, when she told you to work hard and stop slacking, every time you think you've removed that program or eliminated that repetitive thought, it comes up again as you unpeel each layer of your conditioning, of your programming, right? And so it's an ongoing process. And at some point, you will say to yourself, wow, this is getting really hard. This is getting really heavy. This just keeps coming back for me. And you have to recognize that that's your program. It is holding on for dear life. It is trying to drag you back into normalcy so that you don't feel uncomfortable, so that it doesn't know that you're ripping it off, trying to get it out of there, right? So I think that's the exciting thing about it, is that it's an ongoing process. You can use it for the rest of your life.
Wow. I'm just kind of soaking in everything that you've said, because I have very much my own kind of formula, my own way of speaking in that, but I absolutely love when I hear someone like yourself really, really, really understanding things at another level. And that's what's really important for us all to recognize here, that to pay attention to what you're hearing and what resonates with you. And what Vicky's speaking about here really resonates with me, because I can feel the energy. I can feel the energy of my mom, honestly, sitting in this green chair in my living room right now. in my and when I say my living room, I mean my childhood living room as I was growing up. And the big white cat curled up on her. I could see her white shirt, and it's like, holy cow, wow, where is that coming in from? First of all, why am I being directed to that vision? And this is what we're talking about, is that conditioning, right? Those things, like she probably had an expectation on me, or she was thinking about something that I should or shouldn't be doing in that moment because of whatever was going on that I might have been doing. It's so funny because I can see channel CBC on the TV. So it just kind of reflects again just how much is coming up from this small conversation. So I have a number of my audience, a number of my community are watching right now too. So I'd just like to kind of send out a hi to Jackie and Zila, and Sue is here as among some of the others. I really appreciate you being here. We'd love to have any questions. So if any of you have any questions, if something's coming up for you, like it did just now for me, and I don't even know what that's about, which is really interesting. But honestly, I can see even her blue kerchief that she wore on her head. Like, this is wild. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's here now too.
The thing about that is that, right, like I think we have to recognize that our parents were doing exactly the same thing that their parents taught them, and their parents before them. And this is what gets passed along, is that same program year after year, decade after decade, generation after generation. All of the things that we think actually are ourselves, are our lives, are our history, are our culture, they're all just stories. They're all just beliefs. And, my mom I had a bad relationship with my mom. I think a lot of us do, but she was doing the best she could with the paradigm or the program that she had, with the beliefs that were installed into her. She didn't have the understanding that I do, that you can create your own life, that you can create your own future, and that you don't have to live with those beliefs or those habits or those thoughts that are coming through your mind, and that those are not even your thoughts. I mean, when you think about it in that respect, right, you know, that's 200, 300 plus years of programming that's in our minds that are completely irrelevant and no longer useful, really, right? And so that's the whole process. So when you're seeing your mom in that way, think of it in that way, right? Think about how she was sitting there in her own program, programming you, and she didn't even know what she was doing. She had no idea how to program your brilliant mind, just like my mom had no idea how to program my amazing mind, right? And so that you have to recognize that and love them and appreciate them and thank them, and then move along.
As you're saying this, I can see now parts of this as well. I have literally chosen to be extremely active in my life. I've chosen to do walking. I've chosen to hike. I've chosen to mountain bike. And my mother is very sedentary. She's been sedentary my whole life. There was very few things that she actually got out and did that was really physically active that I can recall. I mean, there's small bits and pieces, but not a whole lot. Not in the manner that I have. So I can see how I have already broken that cycle. And in doing that, have helped my children to break that cycle with themselves, who they then bring into their life. This is interesting. Thank you, guys. Who they bring into their life also have their own conditioning. So it's like, you know, you're just starting to figure out who you are, and then all of a sudden there's this person in your life, right? That's adding this. Because I can honestly hear myself say to my husband, "Oh my gosh, what you're saying sounds so much like your mom. Stop thinking like your mom," right? Wow.
I say that to my husband all the time. My God, you sound like your dad. Isn't it funny?
And there you go. There's the conditioning, right? It's not
right.
us saying, "Oh my gosh, you blah blah blah." It's the realizing we are seeing what we're seeing, and we've probably heard it back from our spouses or a brother or sister or something as well. "Oh my God, you're just like mom," you know, like yeah, like I could see my sister. Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, that's it too, right? Yeah, they're part of the program. They are absolutely part of that program, right? And that's the problem, is that we don't know that. You know, we don't know all of that programming that's gone in there. We don't know all of those thoughts that are going through our mind are not someone else's, or are someone else's thoughts. We don't know that, you know, when your brother or sister said this to you, that it crushed your heart a little bit, or suppressed your creativity a little bit, or made you feel bad about yourself a little bit. You know, we don't know any of that. And so that's the problem, is that the thinking that we have doesn't show us any of those aspects of what's gone on. So this is why it's so important to replace them with thoughts that we want to think. And then we can move forward with creativity and enlivenment and the way we want to move forward consciously. And so I think that's the key, right? I think you're uncovering just really the key, is that we have to look at all of the aspects of our program and realize that none of that, literally none of that, serves us today at all, right?
I want to bring up another aspect of this too, because I'm realizing, you know, first of all, how totally different my sister and I are from each other. And therefore, what we were soaking in of the conditioning was different. And I say this because I also have have members in my community that have siblings who they may be estranged from, and they wonder why their siblings don't act in a certain way. And it is exactly what I just said. It's that we are each so individual, and what we are pulling into our own energies, what is affecting us individually, is the conditioning that shapes us. And I could feel this thought forming around us, and how, you know, I look at my sister, and there may have been judgment on my sister about the way she goes through things because it's so different from the way that I am. And I'm really understanding what you're saying here on a different level now.
Yeah, and I think that's the key piece to this actually as well, Sandra, is that everyone is on their own journey, right? And whether we realize it or not, it's my belief that every single being on this planet is here to upgrade their experience, right? Whether we agree with it, whether we see that, everyone is on their own journey to upgrade their experience in life. And that is why they're doing things the way they're doing things and behaving in the way they're behaving. But if they don't know, consciously why they're behaving or acting the way they're acting, it's by default. And so this is why, you actually said something there that is what really drives a lot of my work with my clients is I say to them, act the way you want to act. Act like the person you want to be, not like the person that you are today. Act like the person you want to be, right? And then live up to that expectation, right? And then become that, and then program yourself to be that person, right? So that you're lifting yourself out of your paradigm, out of your program, right? Out of the expectations that people have for you, and laying your own foundation, your own expectations, your own program going forward. And I think that's a really key point, right? Is that we can see from our past, what has brought us to this point in our lives, and now we can choose going forward where we want to go. And so I think that's, you made a really great point there. You can act the way you want to act in a certain way, act as though you are the person you want to become. And then that person grows and you become someone else.
I remember, probably about, I'm guessing 10, maybe 12 years ago, I was sitting in my living room looking out the window, and a neighbor, his sister got out of the vehicle and she walked across the road. A heavier woman, but man, she walked across the road like she owned the road. And I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about, she had this, let me put this a different way. She exuded confidence on a level I had never experienced before. And it was like, holy cow, that is how I want to be. I want to exude that type of confidence, but feel that type of confidence within myself. And that phrase has been coming through very, very big of late, is that fake it until you make it, because that's essentially what we're both bring to the table. It's change your thoughts so that it loosens the hold on you so that you can break that cycle and move forward.
Right.
Wow.
That's exactly it. You have to rewrite the program in your mind, in your own mind. You have to rewrite it completely. And the one that's there is going to kick up a fuss, right? There's going to be a royal battle to say, no, that's not how we do things here.
So what do you have a program, or do you have a book, or what's the scoop? How do people work with you?
Yeah, so I have a coaching program, which I help my clients through that 3-step process, and I do have a few opportunities available. So if your audience is interested in learning more about that, they can go to my website and book a call with me. And also, if they go in and they sign up for my creative visualization exercise, I would love to hear, their feedback on that. It's a really super fun visualization practice that I encourage my clients to use every day. And it might seem kind of silly when you see it. It's a bubble visualization, but what it does is it opens your creative pathways, and creativity is so key for intuition. You cannot have your intuitive gifts guiding you without that creativity buoying you up. And so those are kind of a hand-in-hand thing that I always encourage my clients to work with. And so if anyone's interested, they can sign up on my webpage and get that as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, go check out her webpage. It's right there on the screen. And this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoy, again, that we can come together as really major powerhouses in our own lives. And we can actually speak about things that are bang on, almost like exactly the same, but we use different words, different terminologies, and it's finding the person that resonates with you. If Vicky resonates with you, look her up. Like I said, there's her web page is the word I'm looking for. And right at the top of her screen, it literally says, ready to tap into your intuition. And it says, if you enter your email there, she offers you the 5-minute bubble visualization experience. And that feels very, very magical to me. And how many of us have these little bits and pieces? I love that. I love that. I'm not going to have you go into it because I would really like people to go sign up and get it in that manner. Is there any other things that you would like to say before we wind up, Vicky?
I would just like to thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure, and I hope that what I've offered has been of value to your audience. If they're connected with you, I'm sure they know most of this already. But if there's some way that I could offer some value or some helpful ideas about how they can, improve their intuitive gifts or move forward creatively, I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I want to just hone in again on the importance of the words that are being used, because we use different words. And that's what's key here. It's the finding the person who speaks the language you're comfortable with. And if you're comfortable with Vicky, go for it. That's all I have to say. Right on. Thanks a lot, everybody. And Jackie's saying thank you, Vicky.
Thanks, everyone. I'm glad that I could be here today.
Bye.
Have a great day, everyone.